We are now in part 3 of Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, and in this part, we will discuss two ways of being at work and which of the two ways is the good. After all, we're thinking of everything as being at work in some way as to conceive of it as aiming to achieve its good. In that way, each thing is a being at work. So here we'll discuss two ways of being at work and which of the two ways is the good. The purpose and the good of being at work can be thought about in two ways. One, the purpose and the good of being at work of activity can be some product of that activity that is other than that activity. Two, the purpose and the good of being at work of that activity can be the activity itself, or better yet, a certain way of performing that activity, since the activity can be done well or poorly. Right? So the goal of an activity can be a certain way of performing that activity itself, for example, to do it well, or the goal of an activity can be some product outside of that activity. For example, the good or the purpose of the activity of sweeping one's place may be to have a clean place. And in that case, the good is a product other than being at work. But the good or the purpose of the activity of sweeping one's place may be just that very activity, performed really well, or gracefully, or beautifully. Just think about sweeping in such a way that the process is tedious and not going well and is drudgery. Or one can be sweeping in such a way that the whole movement just goes fantastically and one enjoys it. And it is easy, as if by nature. In the second case, the good of the activity of sweeping is sweeping itself. Or one may be playing some game or involved in athletics for the sake of winning, or for the sake of playing masterfully and beautifully. If for winning, then the good of playing is a product outside of playing itself. If for playing beautifully, then the good of playing is the playing itself. There are two takeaways from the above discussion of whether the good of being at work is some product of it, or whether it is the being at work itself. The first takeaway is that when the good of that activity, or being at work, is a product outside of it, then the product is a superior good to the activity itself. In the case of playing for the sake of winning, winning is a superior good to the good that is playing itself. In that case, playing as a means to an end is a lesser good than winning, which is the sake for the end of which playing is done. That is to say, some goods are superior to others, and ends are superior to means. If it wasn't for the ends, the means would not be undertaken at all. The second takeaway is really in the form of a question. Is the human good itself more like a good that is the activity itself, or more like a good that is a product of activity? In other words, is the human good a certain way of being at work, a certain way of being a human being, in the way that the good of playing a game is to play it in a certain way, beautifully? Or is the human good a product of being human, in the way that the good of playing a game may be winning,